particular man was a huge favourite with the British royal family, and let me tell you, chums, in one year he sold over 15 million ice lollies just in one summer. 15 million, yes, as ever. Let me explain. Good to see you today. Thank you so much as ever for taking the time out to join me. You all right? Yes, 15 million lollies. Can you imagine? Sorry, we'll have a lovely wave. I don't know about you. I look at things. Sorry, I know I should wave a bit more. We're all right, and you're still waving. It's good to be daft, don't worry, you'll get into the gist of it in the end. But it's interesting, isn't it, when you look at things like that, because you kind of think, wow, I know we've mentioned this before, but my favourite when I was a kid was FAB lollies, do you remember those? Fab lollies. They still have them now, but oh no, they're not the same. In the old days they actually tasted, didn't they? And they were all based, of course, on Thunderbirds, which kind of got me thinking when I was looking into this particular story for you, just exactly how it doesn't matter what era we are, we all like some things. You see, when you think about it also, you kind of think, well, how do these things take off? Is branding influencing? Is it now just a modern day thing? Absolute stuff and nonsense. People know that this has been going on for many years. You see, take this man. Yes, this is Peter Brough and Archie Andrews. Now, it's hard to imagine, but they were massive, massive radio stars. I mean, think about that. A ventriloquist dummy and, of course, the brilliant Peter Brough, basically, on radio. So how did you know if his lips moved or not? This didn't stop this man becoming a major, major star. Peter started out actually at Whiteley's department store, the rival in West London to Harrods, simply as a busboy, and then he got to entertaining people. His father, though, was a ventriloquist, so it sort of ran in the family. But very quickly, he escalated to entertaining in clubs up and down and around the area of West London, and then got spotted by a radio producer, appeared on various variety bills, and in front of the British royal family. So much so, apparently, the very young Princess Anne, yes, you won't like me reminding them of this, will you, Mum? Apparently she was a huge, huge fan of Peter Brough and Archie Andrews, right? Hard to imagine when you think, isn't it? And apparently Prince Charles was slightly bemused, shall we say, by him. Now, give you an example, you see, the idea really was based on the brilliant other ventriloquist in America, Charlie McCarthy, because he, of course, was a big, big radio star. Many older viewers may remember that when he appeared on a radio show live with the brilliant Mae West, it got pulled. I think it was from NBC, simply because she insinuated that he'd been very amorous, and she got the splinters to prove it. Yes, this was filmed, this was sort of put out on a Sunday, so you can imagine how well that went. But back to Archie and of course Peter, they literally created a phenomenon. Now, Sir Bruce Forsyth, the brilliant entertainer and host, of course, of our very own Strictly Come Dancing, told me that when appearing on the show, it was like gold to be next to this superstar, because as there were so many people, as he told me, Peter Sellers, Tony Hancock, very early Roddy Corbett, so many that appeared alongside Archie Andrews, because he was not just popular with children but with adults. But where Peter Brough was very clever was the marketing. Maybe somebody that we know who's trying to launch themselves as an influencer could take note. By the 1950s, he'd already written an autobiography, and as I said, he'd lent his sort of imagery rights to those lollipops. There were annuals, there was the radio show, which literally went to 21 million a week at that point, hence the reason he was invited to appear in front of the British monarchy. And on top of all of that, there were just other things, games, you could buy your very own ventriloquist doll. So as I said, it's fascinating to think that we think this is all new. Well, we don't, do we? But the younger generation. And I wanted to ask, really, chums out there, was there anything that you bought in your era that you now look back and think, yeah, you were influenced by that? Was it a Cindy? Was it a Barbie? Was it a Meccano set, a Scalextrics? I think I've said this before to you. The thing that I remember when I was, a little bit, but when I was very young, was actually seeing marketing would have been for the very first Star Wars film. I was amazed at how they, kind of were able to use the branding, because I hadn't seen the film, I was too young, but I knew what the logos and stuff looked like. And that did have a big influence on me, alongside the likes of things like Starsky and Hutch and the car and stuff. You think, oh Wow. So branding's been around forever, but as I said, this man was able to shift 15 million ice lollies way back in the 50s one summer. That's a lot of lollies, isn't it, when you think about it? So let me know, was Peter Brough and Archie Andrews part of your listening when you were a child? Do you remember him? Or was there somebody more special in your childhood that we may have forgotten about, but more importantly, had a very lasting, long-lasting memory for you? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.